It was past midnight when the sound of footsteps echoed in the narrow hallway of the old apartment building. A girl, barely 22, was returning home after a late evening with friends. Security cameras picked up her final steps, a soft shuffle across the dimly lit corridor, her shadow stretching unnaturally against peeling walls. She didn't know it, but those footsteps would be the last anyone would ever hear from her. The next morning, her apartment door remained locked from the inside, her belongings untouched, her phone dead, and the girl gone. No struggle, no witness, nothing but a faint trail of sound, her last recorded footsteps before she disappeared. This is not just another missing person story. This is the unraveling of a chilling mystery where every clue seems to collapse into another question. Was she running from someone? Was she lured? Or was the danger already waiting behind her own door? Tonight, we retrace her final hours, the secrets she carried, and the silence that swallowed her whole. Her name was Emily Carter, 22 years old, a college student with a quiet life, known by her friends as reliable, soft-spoken, and sometimes a little too trusting. That night, the night everything went wrong, had started like any other. She went out with two friends for dinner, nothing fancy, just a cheap burger joint near campus. They talked about upcoming exams, about a road trip they were planning for the summer, and about Emily's recent obsession with true crime podcasts. According to her friends, Emily laughed that night. She wasn't stressed, she wasn't upset, nothing about her seemed unusual. Around 11:45 p.m., she said goodnight, waved to her friends, and started the short walk back to her apartment. It should have been safe. Just 3 blocks. A quiet street with dim street lamps, and a building that, while a little run down, had working locks and a front entry camera. Emily had walked that path dozens of times. But what no one knew then was that this would be the last walk she'd ever take. When Emily's friends didn't hear from her the next day, they assumed she was sleeping in. But by the evening, their calls went unanswered. That's when one of them stopped by her building. The door was locked, no sound inside. Worried, they went to the landlord and asked to review the security footage. And that's when they saw it. At exactly 12:07 a.m., Emily appeared on camera. She looked calm, carrying a small tote bag, her keys in her hand. She opened the front door, stepped inside the building, and walked down the corridor. The sound of her footsteps echoed faintly, captured by the audio system of the security camera. But here's the disturbing part. She never appeared on the next camera. The building had two, one at the entrance and one facing the stairwell leading up to her apartment. She should have appeared on both within seconds, but she didn't. Investigators later said it was like she simply vanished between one frame and the next. The police were called. They managed to open Emily's apartment, and what they found only deepened the mystery. Her laptop was still open on her desk. Her phone was plugged into the charger. A half-finished glass of water sat on the nightstand. Nothing looked disturbed. No sign of forced entry. The window was locked from the inside. The fire escape untouched. Her purse with her ID and wallet was in the corner. Everything was exactly as she might have left it, except she wasn't there. The neighbors swore they hadn't seen or heard anything unusual. No argument, no break-in, no screams, just silence. The only thing anyone remembered was hearing faint footsteps that night, the ones captured on the camera, but no one recalled the sound of a door closing or anyone leaving. It was as if Emily had walked into the building and dissolved into thin air. Detectives combed through every second of footage, but there was no trace of Emily beyond the entrance camera. Then came the first odd discovery. The last sound the audio picked up before Emily disappeared wasn't just footsteps. It was something faint, almost like a whisper. Technicians cleaned up the noise, slowed it down, and it sounded like a voice, low and muffled, speaking just as Emily walked past, but the words were indistinguishable. Was someone waiting in the shadows? Next, police discovered that Emily had recently told a friend about a man who had been bothering her near campus. She described him as tall, with a scar across his cheek, someone who kept showing up at the coffee shop she liked. But when investigators searched for this man, no one seemed to know who he was. No camera footage on the streets ever picked him up. He was, in every sense, a ghost. From there, theories exploded. Some believed Emily had been stalked for weeks, that her final steps had been followed into the building, and that the mysterious man might have slipped inside undetected. Others thought the answer lay within the building itself. One tenant, an older man living on the ground floor, had a troubling history: petty theft, disorderly conduct, even trespassing charges. But police never found evidence tying him to Emily's disappearance. Then came a stranger idea. A few neighbors claimed the building itself was weird. They said they sometimes heard footsteps in the hallways when no one was there. Others swore they heard whispers late at night, or doors creaking open on their own. Emily herself had once texted a friend saying, "This building is creepy at night. Feels like someone's always walking behind me." Detectives worked backward. Emily left the diner at 11:45 p.m. A street camera saw her at 11:57, walking past the library. At 12:05, another camera picked her up just a block away from her apartment. At 12:07, she walked inside her building. And then, nothing. No sightings after that. No bank activity, no phone usage. Her digital footprint went dead at the exact moment her physical one did. For weeks, volunteers searched the nearby woods, rivers, and abandoned lots. Flyers plastered telephone poles. Her story made local headlines, then national ones. But every trail ended in the same place: those last footsteps. Months later, something chilling surfaced. Another tenant came forward, saying that a week before Emily vanished, she had knocked on their door late at night, looking pale and nervous. She told them she thought someone was following her in the building. She said she kept hearing footsteps right behind hers, but every time she turned around, the hallway was empty. The tenant brushed it off, thinking maybe Emily was just anxious. But now, in hindsight, that detail feels like a warning no one paid attention to. And then came the most disturbing discovery of all. Forensic teams re-examined the audio recording from the security camera. The whisper that had been nearly inaudible? With advanced processing, it was finally made clear. It wasn't random noise. It was a single sentence. A male voice, low and deliberate, saying, "It's time." To this day, Emily Carter has never been found. No body, no conclusive evidence of foul play. Just a locked apartment, a life frozen in place, and a hallway echoing with footsteps that shouldn't have been the last. Her case remains unsolved, filed away with hundreds of others like it. But those who knew her and those who've studied her disappearance always come back to the same haunting detail. The last thing we ever heard of Emily was not her voice, not her scream, but her footsteps fading into silence. And just before that silence, a whisper no one was supposed to hear. So what happened to Emily Carter? Was she taken by someone she knew? Someone who had been waiting all along? Did the building itself hide something sinister, a forgotten passage, a door that doesn't appear on blueprints? Or was she the victim of a predator who knew exactly how to erase every trace of her? The truth remains buried. But one thing is certain: somewhere, those footsteps are still echoing. And until we know where they lead, Emily's story will never truly end. If you found this case as chilling as we did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, sometimes the scariest thing isn't the scream you hear, but the silence that follows it.